Good evening. Welcome to the Library of Congress. My name is Monica Valentine, and I'm a program specialist here at the library. The Library of Congress is the world's largest library. Our collections include millions of books, films, newspapers, manuscripts, photographs, and more. We are home to the U.S. Copyright Office and home to the Congressional Research Service, which serves as the research arm for our country's lawmakers. Beyond that, we're sometimes referred to as the home of American creativity and culture. We look forward to all of you out here finding your place at the Library of Congress, whether that is as a visitor, a researcher, an intern, or creator. We want you to know that the Library of Congress is your library. So we're here tonight to talk about a historic event that's just one of the amazing stories reflected in our collections. In 1968, at the Olympics in Mexico City, two African-American athletes from San Jose State University, Dr. Tommie Smith and his teammate John Carlos, won the gold and bronze medals in the 200-meter sprint, respectively. After their victory, they chose to use their moment on the Olympic medal stand for more than just themselves. They created one of the most iconic moments of protest in history, with each man raising a single fist wearing a black glove. That moment, meant to bring attention to racial injustice in the US and South Africa, was captured by the media and made its way around the world. This moment lives on in the Library of Congress as part of our prints and photographs collection. John Carlos shared his story as a part of the Civil Rights History Project, a joint project of the library's American Folklife Center and the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Dr. Smith has collaborated with award-winning New York Times best-selling author Derrick Barnes and Emmy Award-winning illustrator Dawood Anyabiwile to share his story in a graphic novel for young readers. This incredibly talented team has created Victory Stand, Raising My Fist for Justice. The book has been described as authentic, groundbreaking, and inspiring. It has recently also been longlisted for the 2022 National Book Award. To help us understand the legacy of Dr. Smith and the making of Victory Stand, we welcome Ramunda Lark-Young. Ramunda and her husband Derrick are the co-owners and co-founders of Mahogany Books, which focuses on books written for, by, and about people of African descent. Known also as a community activist, Ramunda is a vice chair of the Prince William County Human Rights Commission and a gubernatorial appointee to the Council on Women in Virginia. In just a moment, I will turn the program over to our outstanding panel, and I encourage you all to pay close attention and consider any questions you might have for our guests about their experience or their work. We'll have 15 minutes for questions and answers near the end of the program. Raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question, and wait for a staff member with a microphone so that we can all hear you. We will also collect questions in writing. Will you please help me welcome to the stage Ramunda Lark-Young, Dawood Anyabiwile, Derrick Barnes, and U.S. Olympic medalist and member of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame, Dr. Tommie Smith.
How are you all doing today? I'm excited. You guys excited? I mean, excited. History in the making. To be here tonight is an honor. So I'm excited to be here, and I hope you all are too. But Dr. Smith, it is an honor to be here, to listen to your story, your experience that you've shared, the bravery that you exhibited that I don't know if I would have had back then. But I'm just excited and honored to have this conversation with all of you. And to Mr. Derrick Barnes, I appreciate you and the work that you do with Black Books for Kids. And Mr. Dawood, your illustrations are out of this world. So just to be up here with an Emmy award-winning illustrator, let's give it up for that, first of all. Emmy.
Thank you.
New York Times best-selling author, give it up for that. And an Olympic gold medalist, so give it up for that too. And I really love this book for a lot of different reasons, so many reasons. I read it from cover to cover. And I love that a lot of times we see you and your journey and the iconic pose. But this book delves into so beautifully, Derek, you guys just knocked it out the park, but so beautifully into your history as a young person, all through high school and even through college. And so I love that you all will get an opportunity to hear some of that perspective and to read some of that perspective when you get your copies of the book. But we'll delve into a little bit. We won't give it all out. You guys are part of the VIP crew, I say, because this is the first kickoff event. Today is, and you all are here to witness that. So I'm excited. Give yourselves a big round of applause for making it out to be a part of this. So my big question is for you. I'll start with you, Derek. So as a kids author, I want to kind of set the stage for people to kind of get to know who you are, all of you. But as a kids author, you could have written about anything, any book, any experience in history. And you said yes to this book. Why was it important for you to say yes to this book?
First of all, hello everyone. Glad you guys showed up. Lovely seeing your beautiful faces. I feel like it felt right into my wheelhouse, right into my body of work. In 2017, my 9th book came out, and that was my first hit book. It was entitled Crown: An Ode to the Fresh Cut. But in 2016, I hadn't had a book out since 2010. So we had just moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I almost considered not even writing anymore, like just getting a regular job. And I was in the room, there's my office right now. There was no furniture, no book stands, nothing. It was just completely empty. But I was sitting there on the floor, and I would write down notes about books that I wrote like 30 books between 2010, 2017. And I was trying to write books to the gatekeepers in the publishing industry, and nothing was happening for me. So I have 4 boys. One of my boys came into the office one day, and he was eating an apple. I think he was around 11 years old, and he bit the apple, was chewing, and he looked down at me. He said, "Daddy, you know what you should do?" I said, "What, son?" "You should write the blackest book ever." He's like, "You already not getting any book deals." Then he bit the apple and walked out. And listen, 2 weeks later, I wrote Crown: An Ode to the Fresh Cut, and he helped to remind me of who I was writing for. Instead of, for anybody that's watching, instead of trying to get your foot in the door, work on your voice. What are you trying to say? Think about your body of work and what kind of legacy you want to leave behind. So when I was offered the opportunity to write this book, it fit right into the lineage or the legacy that I want to leave behind. To be a part of this man's story, I couldn't turn it down.
Absolutely.
Couldn't turn it down.
Absolutely. And if you all have not read Crown: An Ode to the Fresh Cut,
What's wrong with you?
what's wrong with you? Tell them, Derek, what's wrong with you? Get the book. You can get it at Mahogany Books, which is where my husband and I own, or any bookseller. But it's a powerful book. One of the most awarded children's books, I would say, in history that I've seen so far.
Yeah, we won like 8 awards for it. So I had never won anything before. It never been on any lists. So I kept pushing forward, man, and just let me here today.
Yeah.
Sit next to this brother. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So Dr. Smith, I love this book, as I mentioned earlier, that it gives some backstory to who you were, and a lot of us don't know that backstory. We see the photo, but who are you as a person? So my question for you is, you went to great lengths sharing about your parents' journey as sharecroppers and moving place to place. Both of you, Derek, you guys just wrote it out very beautifully, and it was just wonderful to read. But why was it important for you to give that in-depth journey, giving that space in this book? Why was that important? Why did we need to know that?
Thank you. It's good to see everybody. God is good. Look at your smiling faces. It's a pleasure. I'm one of 12. 7 girls, Lord have mercy, and 5 boys. Born in the backwoods of Texas, Texarkana, Texas, moved to California in the early 50s on a labor camp. Came to California where some of the Western foreigners, Western sharecroppers, brought us in to California to work on their farms, put us on labor camps. And we had to work diligently night and day just to pay the people who brought us here to brought us to California to work on the farms. And I never talked very much. I mean, you have 7 sisters, you don't have any space to talk. But I always wanted to talk, but I never grew into the idea of maybe you will have a word someday, and maybe you could do something with it. So I was blessed with speed, because I had 7 sisters, to stay away from them. I was blessed with speed to move around and to use it some way, but I didn't know how. You can't run races in cotton fields. You have to pick the cotton first, make space. But I had one sister, Sally, who was right over me. She was faster than me. Sally was built like Tarzan, and I got many beats from Sally because I could beat her, and she knew I could beat her in any race. Now, I'm talking about childhood now, little guys, age 7 and 8. But I never would beat her because if I beat her in a race, she'd beat me physically for beating her in the race. So I always was a close second. But I grew into understanding winning because I never could, and I promised myself, thank you. I promised myself that if I ever beat Sally, I'm gonna beat everybody else I run against. And so I just kept at it, kept working. And one day at school, the principal called us out to race, and I beat Sally for the first time. Sally couldn't beat me up because I beat her because the principal was there. So after I crossed the finish line, everything was great. I watched them cross, all of them first, and I was smiling. I saw Sally face because I knew I was going to get beat. She reached in the pocket. I was ducking and diving, and she came out with a nickel. A nickel, folks. She gave me the nickel. I became a professional athlete in the 4th grade because she gave me that nickel. Mm-hmm. And she said, Tommy, you take this and you spend it any way you want to. Now, anybody who's old enough to know what a nickel was back in the 50s knew that was some money. I bought me all the candy I could, and I ate it. All the candy I bought, I ate it. Anyway, I know that's superfluous here. But I wanted to be something, and I knew if I had the ability to do something, I wanted to share it with the rest of the world. I wanted to be a glow in the light of lives. And I went on to grammar school, high school, or college, and I majored in sociology with a minor in physical education and military science. Can you believe that? Military science. Oh, I was a good first lieutenant. Anyway, that's another whole story. But that's how Tommy made his background. And from that, I built a bridge. And I heard my wife grunt, so I know I got to shut up and keep on moving.
No, but I love that you included that story in the book, that you and Derek made sure that that was there.
Yeah.
And people got a sense of who you were and the relationships that you have with your sisters and your family. So I love that people get that kind of inside, bird's eye view of who you are and what challenged you and what made you really strive to go for what you went for. My question next is for you, Derek. So I love that you started with Dr. Smith's childhood all the way up to the post-Olympic medal. What struck you most about his childhood story? So he talked about it a little bit, but what struck you most as you were writing this about it?
Well, the fact there was so many of them, but that is kind of common when you think about families in the South, black families in the South during that era in the 40s and 50s, but they were so close-knit. One of the lines in the book is like we didn't have a lot, but we had plenty because we had each other. No running water, no plumbing, he didn't see a cement sidewalk until he went to college. Mm-hmm. But they had each other and they worked in the fields together. This was a family unit, and this is where he learned and got his work ethic from. Mm-hmm. Watching his father, another line in the book, his father was Superman before he knew who Superman was. And I really tried to structure the story centered around those 19 seconds that it took him to win that race. And I kind of broke up the whole book and stretched those 19 seconds out. And every time he took a turn, when I sat down and talked to him when I came to your house, I had never talked to a track and field athlete before about, and he really looks at track and field from a scientific point of view. Mm-hmm. Like his body is a Ferrari. So, what percentage to decelerate, to accelerate, when you go around, specific turn, you run in the 200 meter. I had never had that conversation before. And, you know, one of the things that I did not know before I did research on him is that he injured himself during the race prior to the final. So he should not have been able to run this race. But he knew how, first of all, God was with him that day. You know, the fact that he won that race and he was injured, and to be on that #1 podium, like just think if he had finished in 4th place, even in 3rd place, but he finished 1st place. His fist rose the highest, you know, because of that race. So I found out so many things I did not know about him, but you know, his relationship with his family really touched me because I don't have 12 kids, but it really touched me. You know, the fact that you don't need much, but if you have family to support you and lift you up. You know, his sister Sally, she came to all your events.
Yes, she
in
did.
high school. I mean, when nobody else would show up, she was there. Family is everything, and I learned a lot about studying, you know, the Smith family.
Yeah. You're definitely close with your boys. You talk about your boys and
Yeah.
your amazing wife often, which is
Yes.
always a beautiful thing to see and to hear, really. I don't know if we see a lot of that in our community, as much as I would love to see,
Yeah.
for a lot of different reasons sometimes. So we have this Emmy award-winning illustrator down here that's low-key chilling with us, but amazing, amazing work. And so my question for you, Dawood, is please share a particular part of the book that you were extremely eager to illustrate because of the actual scene before you. And if there was a scene that really sticks out, can you describe that scene? And you guys, I wish we had a big projector so you all could see the work that this amazing illustrator did. You'll see it in your books, but the expressions, the joy, the pain, it's all in these faces that you so beautifully illustrated. So what would be one of those scenes that you were excited to do? And did you read the book first? Did you have the script first and you went from there, correct?
Yeah, I always go through the script
Sure.
at least twice. I'll read it twice. And then, you know, I'll have conversations with Derek, and he'll even help me out with, like, things that he may visualize, like some reference. And then Dr. Smith, ironically, he lived in the vicinity of where I live down in Georgia. So I got a chance to stop by his house and talk to him, and he was actually showing me some of his work from his archives, photos and things like that, the actual gold medal, things like that, but I never laid my eyes on before. So all that helped to spark these visions in my mind. In terms of like a specific scene, it's really hard to say because there were so many different scenes that I wanted to tackle from reading it. I think one that, for me, one that stood out was the when he was explaining that era of time, you know, with the lynchings and things of that nature, which for a lot of us is unfathomable. Like we don't see it. It doesn't exist anymore. And a lot of those remnants have basically been eradicated where, you know, there might be a Walmart where there were trees where people were lynched and things like that. So we're kind of resurrecting that feeling. And so I think getting to that scene was a powerful 2-page spread. And you know, I kind of envisioned it in my mind. You know, just from growing up and my father having a lot of books on lynchings and hidden histories of America and things like that. And we grew up in Philadelphia, so that was the birthplace. So there was like a lot of iconic things just in our neighborhood growing up. So so I had a perspective coming to it that I couldn't wait to get to. And then there were other things. So that's kind of more the dramatic side, but also the tender moments of the family and the children, because I like doing things for family and children as well. So that just those communal shots, they're not action shots, but they're just tender moments, you know, between him and his father, him and his mother, or the father and mother, how they relate, or how all the children relate. You know, I like getting into that and then feeling like I'm there. You know, so I say it's really hard to say. There's so many scenes.
So many.
There really were. There really were. But that one about the lynching was a very poignant one that I just looked at that, and there were so many different things happening on that page, but it just really struck me, the detail and the care that you took in showing that. It was crazy, to be honest, just to see that.
Well, I also, I'm sorry. I also think cinematic, because I do storyboards for film and television. I've been doing graphic novels and comic books for years. So I've worked on a lot of movies and things like that. So when I work on these scenes, even though I'm resurrecting these ideas and feelings, I also think about it thematically, like, you know, how can you make this dynamic? You know, even if a family scene and we're just sitting there, it's a tender moment, how's the camera going to, how's the lighting? You know, you got to make it epic. You know, so I think of it like this is the movie, and then I illustrate it like a storyboard.
Love it, love it, love it. And everybody will too as you open up the pages and see it for yourselves. My next question is for you, Derek. I'm sorry, for Mr. Smith. So there was one powerful exchange. You talked about your race with your sister, Sally. And there was an exchange that served as a motivation for the rest of your life. That's on the page. This incident served for just the catalyst for you. And it's on page 78. And it says, after you just ran the race against your sister, Sally, and won, let me say and won. That's it. He made clear that we knew that he won that race. But he said, your dad says, Tommy, if I ever find out that you finished second place, it's over, and you'll be back here working in these fields with us. Why did that linger with you as an adult? You mentioned that it stuck with you from then even to this day. Why did not going back and working at the labor camps, as you mentioned, really struck you?
Daddy always told his kids, when you grow up, he wants us to be somebody, because he didn't see himself a person at that particular time that would do us any good by keeping us in the fields. Although he needed us in the fields because we made $3 a hundred for picking cotton, which took us about 4 hours to get 100 pounds, you know, so that was a lot of money back then. So we needed all the kids in the field. Can you see all the kids in the field, and he's looking around and saying, work? And we thought that was a triumph, to work. That was it. We were glad to have a job, although it was in the primer stage of making money, but it was money we needed. One day, this was a turning point in my life. One day, the principal of the school told Sally, who was in the 7th grade and I was in the 4th grade, to have a race. Because they were going to Bakersfield, California for an AAU meet. Some of you people know what the AAU meet was back in those days. And, well, I said, Daddy is Madagascar background. You know, big chest, slanted eyes, red eyes, by the way, dark. And he looked at me, he said, tell me what you want. I said, Mr. Foof, F-O-C-T-H, F-O-C-H-T was the principal's name, want me to go to Bakersfield and run in a meet. He was in the hog pen, y'all, feeding the hogs, okay? And he stood up. I said, oh, Lord, I'm going to get a whooping. He said, no, well, Tommy, you know, we need everybody in the field to work. We need the money. He bent back over, then he stood up again. And I said, that's 2 whoopings. He said, now, I'm going to let you go this weekend. But if you lose, you'll be out in the field next weekend with the rest of your brothers and sisters. You know I didn't lose the race. You know I didn't lose that race. No. I would have tripped somebody first before I lost that race. I won the race in the crowds, the stands, because nobody ever seen this long-legged, 5'7", I guess, or 8, maybe 118-pound guy run that fast and knees that high. So I ran the race and came back to Daddy, and he didn't say nothing. It was Sally the one that said, Tommy, how'd you do? I said, I won. She said, I know that. And Daddy, from then on, said, well, boy, you know, you're doing pretty good. Just keep on going. But what was the epitaph, and a great one, of that race in Mexico City? Daddy had never seen me run his life. Never. I ran a plethora of races. No, my mother, they was busy working and raising kids. Mm-hmm. And my background, you know, was helping. I was 7, so I changed diapers of the younger kids, because there was 5 after me. And got whoopings, beat up by the older kids. So I was up, my neck was on swivel all the time. So at Mexico City, I went back down home to San Jose State and Fresno, California, if you know, the 190 miles. I went back down. He was feeding the hogs, a new set of hogs, by the way. And he raised up out of the hawk pen again, and he said, boy, you know, some of these people around here were saying you did something bad. He didn't know, he couldn't read. He didn't know where I was or what I was doing. I said, well, Dad, I ran a race. He said, hot known, boy, you still running? I said, yes, sir. And that's how it went from then on. I won a race, but my mother, she received feces in the mailbox. She received bad letters in the mailbox. She died at age 57 because of all the stress of what had happened because I went to Mexico City and made a world statement of faith and not hate. I was raised in a family. My dad respected people, took us to church every Sunday. So it was something I felt needed doing, and it wasn't just Tommy. It was a whole track team, and many track teams doing it. Even the Harvard rowing team came in with us because it wasn't a black right thing. It was a human right, which included everyone. I've talked. I better get off here. And,
No, it's
but
good.
right here.
It's good. No, but it's important, I think, and it leads really into my next question when you say what happened to your mom and receiving feces in the mail for a silent protest, really silent protest. And my question then leads me to Derek. You know, the story is one that is really layered with so many different facets, right? We've talked about some. And as most Black people's lives are, one of those things that sticks out to me is the reality of being in the prime of our winningest moment, as Mr. Smith mentioned, standing up there, winningest moments, and not just even as an illustrator, you have those winning moments. But you're still being relegated to being reminded of our Blackness in those situations, our humanity. And so have you ever experienced that as an illustrator, as a writer, that you are reminded, it doesn't matter if you won an Emmy, it doesn't matter if you've been on the New York Times list, it doesn't matter if you won an Olympic medal. It is there that you really are reminded of who you are versus the things that you were doing at that moment. Have you ever experienced those? And if so, can you share?
Oh, you want me to go? Okay.
Either one.
Oh,
Both.
yeah. No, I mean, well, I guess with me, like the way I was raised, you know, my father, he, you know, he's since passed on, him and my mother. But my father wrote books on the Black family since the early 70s. He wrote one of the first books on Kwanzaa and, you know, before people were even utilizing it, back in the early 70s. So since we were young, he always had us be aware of self, who we are, you know, understanding our history. And that's how I was aware of you, Dr. Smith, when I was young, because my dad had that poster, you know, all that. And those images were always around us. And so I never really went into the world thinking in terms of like I needed validation. You know, we had self-validation in the home. Me and my brothers, and my mom was a creative person. And my dad was the researcher. So I had that balance of him saying, hey, you know, whatever you do, go out, you know, own what you create. You know who you are. And with my mom, it was like whatever you create, you know, she was a musician, so she always connected me, helped me to understand the connection between music and art and classical music, classic soul, hip hop, all that stuff, how it all merged and how it all was a part of us. So when I went into the world, like when I get awards and things like that, I always look at it like, that's like somebody patting you on the back saying, oh, that's good job, keep going. But I never looked at it as, this is my arrival, this is what made me. I look at it like, it's something that adds to my, you know, it adds to my value in terms of how other people see me. But for me personally, I already know what my value is. So I'm never fooled when I'm in a situation where somebody wants to treat me as how they see a Black man, you know, or how they see how we should be portrayed, because I don't go for that. It's like I already know who I am. And if somebody, I take people on their own merit, because I too am a humanitarian. I take anybody on their own merit, but I'm not a clown either, where if somebody wants to try to say I'm not something or I don't have a value, then I'll be like, you know, then you just missed out on what I have to offer, but I'm no less than. And that's what I teach my sons and even young kids. You know, I always speak at schools and things like that, and I always try to get them to understand their value. and not to worry about what other people place on you. And then all the things that you receive, such as the gold medal and the honorings and the awards and all those things, those add to our intrinsic values in terms of how other people see us. But we understand that our greatness within and how far-reaching that is.
Got it. Powerful, powerful. Did you want to add anything to that, Mr. Barnes, or no?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of along the same
Yeah.
lines as Brother Dawood. But he is a little bit more modest than me. Like, I want to win every damn thing, everything. And it's not from, I mean, I'm a very competitive person, but like when I first got into this business, into children's publishing, I wasn't made aware of all the, the large awards like the, Coretta Scott King, Newbery, and Prince, So once I got a taste of that and I saw what it does to that book, like it makes that book far-reaching across the planet. So I'm an extremely competitive person, but I understand that I write for all children, but I write to Black children. And if I create a book with a beautiful Black child as a protagonist and I win an award, that book is everywhere. So the whole world has no choice but to see how beautiful and brilliant this baby is. But yeah, I want to win everything. I want to win Emmys and Oscars. I want to win bowling trophies, everything.
Oh, no.
That's the kind of person I am. Because we put so much into this work, man. We put so much into this work. I was talking to an artist, last week, and we were talking about when you purchase these books, like you're not just purchasing the story, but you purchasing like months out of our lives, like a year or so out of our lives. So we put so much into it, and it's not so much that we, just like you were saying, that I don't measure my worth by these awards, but you're gonna see me. You're gonna see me.
I know that's right. We'll be looking for that bowling trophy.
Yeah.
Post it on social media, we'll look. So let's set the stage, right? So, Dr. Smith, you are 24 years old. It's the evening of October 16, 1968. You're at the starting blocks of the 200-meter run. You hunch down, the shot fires, and you're off, right?
Oh.
You run your fastest race yet, clocking in at 19.83 seconds, a world record. And then after that, you put on your tracksuit, you walk to the podium to receive your gold medal. My question for you is, as you were walking to the podium, what was going on through your mind at that very moment as you're walking up? Because you've already thought, perhaps, you have your glove with you, you have your no shoes on, you have all these things, and we'll ask that question as well, but what was going through your mind if you had just made this world record and you're walking up to the podium to take your medal? What were you thinking?
I gotta get across the track, not around it. I have to get across it. I've been around it. It's electric shocks going through the brain. Itemize what I have to do. Like, don't fall on lane 3 because that's where you ran the race. Just walk across it with pride. We had, of course, the black socks, my Sunday socks, by the way, the black gloves. I had a scarf around my neck, and I had a lot to say, but I had no time to say it. That's why it's called silent gesture. My mind, I'm a Gemini, so my mind took off, went someplace else. I think it was this family out front, and the lady said, "Hi." And I turned around. I wanted so bad to stop and take a picture, but I'm sorry, I couldn't. I was in a hurry. And I knew I had a message. As they called my name and I stepped up on the victory stand, that was my whole life. That one giant step. You've heard that before, haven't you? One giant step for man. You've heard that before? That's how I felt. Way up high, and I stood there, and automatically my hands went up. Now, this is history for me. I'm a 24-year-old skinny kid, broke, no college education yet. That's another story now. And I had something to say and couldn't say it because I was a docile kid, but I had a lot to say because when I was on the track training, I couldn't talk to anybody if it wasn't about Coach Bud Winter about the science of speed, which I had. So there I was, locked into the minds of America, in fact, the entire world. As they hung the medal around my neck, I stood there proud. I know the flag was coming up, which I'm also proud of now. Why am I proud of it? Not because of that it was representing hate. I had a lot of my people die in making America what it is. So why am I going to hate something which they fought for? Who are Tommy Smith to negatively display idiocy because of racist America? And the flag, it was pride to me. We turned. Now, I said I was ROTC, remember? I turned with a military turn. If you ever see that pose again, or even the motion picture of it, you'll see that military right turn. I was sweet, boy. I mean, I was sweet, you know. I turned real quick, and the Star Spangled Banner started playing, and the chill within my body. And you notice when that right arm went up, everything was still, masterfully still. Head bowed. Lord, prayer, come on now. I prayed the entire song, 1 minute and 30 seconds. When it was finished, notice the arm with the arm. It didn't flop down. It came down with power and pride. And then I did my left turn. Boy, I was sweet. Turned left. And I talking like this, but it was more serious than it. I just get a magical feeling when I talk about it because it's down there. I can feel it. Whew. And then I said, well, it's over. See, my life had been threatened several times before I left San Jose to go to Mexico. My wife's, I was married at that time, 24 years old. Life was threatened in San Jose. And I was practicing for Mexico Games. That was the end of the chapter, that book. That was it. A lot of it's here. And these young guys right here are masterful minds, I tell you. If you notice, they're different, but they're so much alike in their professions. That's why I'm proud to work with them, because they can tell the story. And it's all here. It's here, itemized directly. No fat on it. It's all down the line.
All the skinny.
Yeah, and I'm off the subject now, so I'll hush again.
No. So my other question, and a lot of people ask, want to know the backlash. You talked about it a little bit, but what was some of that backlash you faced when you made this silent protest? That's part one. And then part two, what would you, and you may have already said, we think of Colin Kaepernick right now, who also made a silent protest. Have you talked to him, and what were you, if you did talk to him, what have you said to him, number one? And then two, what was the backlash that you faced? Because we've seen the backlash that Colin faced and is still facing, no matter whatever settlement or whatever happened, the years of dealing with that backlash. Yeah. And so what was that backlash for you, and what words have you shared with him, if any? Okay. I don't want to assume, but
yeah, right. Even before we left to go to the Olympic Games in Mexico City, my life has been threatened several times. And I didn't know what to do about it because I was on an Olympic team. It was called the Olympic Project for Human Rights, so there were other athletes also involved. The Olympic Project for Human Rights, the whole umbrella, started at San Jose State University, and I was a student. In fact, I was on the board that started the Olympic Project for Human Rights, so I had to be very particular of what I was doing, how I was saying it, have respect for who I was talking to all the time, because you're human. No matter what color you are, you still got the same responsibility as everybody else. And we would just lynch more than the white folks. And I use that freely because you've got to hear the truth. Don't try to hide something that you know that it's going to get you in trouble later on. So the merciful thing about the Olympic Project for Human Rights, that there were other countries, and I think I just said that, so I'm beginning to repeat myself now. There were other countries, athletes from other countries understood what we were saying, especially the countries of color. But there was also, I said, Harvard team, because it was a human rights issue, not a black right issue. Human rights issue of blacks is a part of it. So that was our battle, that was our fight. At age 24 years old, I recognized this from being a part of the system and not being recognized for who I was, not how fast I ran. How fast I ran was a platform for me to say my pride in who I was and how much we needed America to come together in any strife there might be. Okay, And for Hebrew 11:1 will tell you this about faith and about the goodness of it, and bringing together the faces of those who believe in themselves. Young'un, you students, especially you students, I see you. Students around, you got to start believing in yourself now. You can't be on mom and daddy all your life. Right now, I know you're refrigerated ramparts, but you gotta understand that. You're gonna be closed one day, and you're gonna wonder, what happened to me? I can't go in there and get no free milk. No more free milk. Now I'm off again, go ahead.
But I just
like to
wonder-
get off.
I was going to ask
Well,
you too, Derek. Go
I
ahead.
would say also people don't realize that that race was his last race. You don't think about that.
Well, thank you very much.
That was his last race,
Powerful.
Yeah.
which is crazy. I mean, you had, I don't know if you had thought about going to the, what was that, the 72 Olympics?
72 games, yeah.
Did you have your mind set on,
Oh, I was-
but I mean, never race again at 24? And
kicked
how young of a man are you now? I don't know if they know that.
Watch it.
Own it, Dr. Smith.
I'm trying to
own
give them
it,
some
own it.
context.
Oh, yeah, I'm very proud
being
of
24.
it, yeah.
Yes.
Very proud of it. 78 years old.
78. Look at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can still hit a little bit too.
I know it.
You know,
I know it.
You know, you give me my crutch, I can go on out there and do it.
Yes.
Boy, if I had a brain, I'd be able to think. So many things are running through my mind now.
Well, she was asking about like what actually happened after the race. Like he wasn't able to get a job in a lot of different places.
First of all, I was kicked off the team.
Kicked off the team.
Sent me home. I was afraid to go to class because as soon as I got home, a rock sailed through my window, broke my window. It was on it. Said, use the N-word on it. You will die at 1:30 tomorrow. I should have kept it. Then should have kept the rock too. But you know, at that particular time, I wasn't thinking about being important. I was thinking about my grades because I hadn't graduated from college yet. You know, I needed that degrees. So that I went to college at night. I was afraid to go to college during the day because I was afraid somebody would shoot me. And I wasn't far off in that thinking because I had received death threats. You know, receiving something like that is unimaginable almost to me. It was then. I kind of looked at it and kind of threw the paper on the dresser, the one I didn't have. And I just, things I remember, I just should have hung on to them. But I didn't go to Mexico to do that to be great. I went to Mexico to win the Olympic game, win it, and then make a statement, then go home, finish my education, get a job, go to church, marry, and die.
And here you sit.
Here I sit.
Here you are on the cover of this book.
Isn't that something?
Here we are listening to your story. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an honor to hear it from your mouth and to read it on these pages. And as I started out earlier at the beginning, I don't know if I would have had that courage to even do it. There was some kind of premeditation in my mind there, to have that glove, to put that scarf around your neck. So there was a lot of things there, but to have that type of bravery, I just wish that upon all of us. And there's young people, as you mentioned here in the audience, that are facing things all the time. There's older people in the audience facing things all the time, but that bravery that you exhibited there, even a silent protest and all the things that you went through for all these years that you've endured and still have the same positive energy, outlook that you have is unfathomable. So I want to give a big round of applause for that, just to have that.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all.
My last question here before we open it up for Q&A really quickly is, so Derek, I want to end it with you as well. So you're author of 11 books, is it? How many books?
I think it's 50.
You said 50?
Yeah, 16.
16.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 16.
Yeah.
Okay, 16 books. And so right now, we're having this discussion during Banned Book Week, nationally recognized Banned Books Week, where many authors' works are being censored. Schools around the country are challenging and banning books because of facts. There's plenty of facts in this book here. Because of facts that were shared, and there's certain parents and leaders who are not, open to reading tons of books, whether it's Toni Morrison, whether it's The Kafir Boy, whether it's Monster by Dee Myers, lots of books that are out there that are being banned. And so my question for you is, What are your thoughts around that? Is there any fear of this book being banned?
No, I think.
I mean, because there's lots of amazing facts in here that people need to see and people need to read about, but I don't know what people's feelings are. The book is not out yet. So.
Well, you know, this harkening back to, you know, what Brother Solo told me, make the blackest book you possibly can. I had a meeting with a consortium of popular black children book authors, you know, illustrators, and that was my message to them. Keep moving forward, keep cranking these books out. You know, like I said, I'm very big on lineage and artists that came before me. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and there's this 19-foot statue of Charlie Parker right behind the Negro League Baseball Museum. Every time I go home, no matter what time it is, I sit out there and talk to Brother Charlie, and just say thank you. And I have the baton, and to use a track reference, and we can't allow these book bans to keep us from telling the truth. What kind of society? I mean, there hasn't been one society in human history that has succeeded by banning books at all, and we can't allow that to make us fearful. I'm not going to change my story. I'm not going to change my content. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm going to ramp it up.
Okay.
Ramp it up. We have to. I mean, we have an obligation, just like I feel like I have an obligation to those that came before me. I have an obligation to my children, to these children, to children not only in this country, but we have an obligation to tell the truth about American history. And I want to keep doing that.
Yeah, well, thank you. We're at Mahogany Books. We'll keep selling it, though, too.
I love it.
You know, because our customers need it. We desire it. We need it as well, so thank you. But I just want to say thank you to each of you for sharing your gifts, for sharing your talents, for sharing this amazing story. And I'm just excited for the world to read it, too. So we'll open it up for questions and answers. There's one over on this side. Yes, in the beautiful green dress.
This was simply a phenomenal panel. I've not been able to get off the edge of my seat, and just thinking about everyone who would have lived and died and fought for the moment that you took to pay homage. You know, I'm a third generation or fourth generation descendant of American slavery. We recently visited the plantation where my grandmother's grandmother freed herself from. It wasn't an Emancipation Proclamation. She freed herself from Kent Island. And as I drive there often, I think about the large body of water that separates that land or that island from the rest of Annapolis, where the military was. And, excuse me, I didn't even prepare these remarks. I think about that body of water and what it would take to prepare to try to cross that body of water into freeing yourself. And let alone to see now years later, people like you taking a stand for people that were a part of your family, but people that were a part of families that you didn't even know. And so I've spent really the last 5 years or so trying to discover my family's lineage. Trying to discover where was our families dismantled, trying to discover why was the systemic removal, understanding the systemic removal of fathers from families, and how the difference it made for you to have your father, to have your mom, and to have the foundation that many people today who want to have a voice, who want to speak up, and I often coach those youth in the inner city, they don't have that same stability. They don't have the foundation to stand on with experiencing the prejudice today is more internal in the Black community, and even amongst those of us who have risen to leadership, whereas they're inadvertently hating each other now, whereas one point we were standing together, we were taking victory stands together. So I'm curious to know, was the same hatred coming from people who were of non-descendant of color, or did you receive that same backlash coming from Black people who felt like, a sense of entitlement that you took, or maybe they wanted to take the stand that they didn't have a chance to take? And how did you deal with that? Because that is one of the, I think, it's one of the greatest challenges right now. If we do not find a way to show up and stand together in numbers for whatever the future holds, and to really restore our families, the foundation of what we should be building on, and I'm working on that for the future myself, but that's another story. But how did you deal with external backlash and internal backlash from people who looked like you, who didn't believe that you should have a voice, who didn't believe that you should take a stand, but knew that it was necessary for you to do that?
You know, that's a question, huh? I mean,
I have so many
you
of
go, I can tell that. You have a whole history of questions. And for me, of both sides, I dealt with the individuals, you know, who came to me with the guys. I know you have something to say about this too, so I'll make it very, very short. Came to me with the different problems of how we could do. And you can't stop. You must continue. I don't have a direct answer, but you should continue and rely on faith. What is faith? Substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, but without what? Work. Faith is dead. So you can't lie your inside problems on what other people think. They're going to think it anyway. You're going to be hated anyway. Yes, by some by your own folks. You're going to be hated because they have their way of doing things. But this was my way on the victory stand to show or to prove or to excite or to give back. You have your ways. You all have your ways, but you haven't had a chance to do it yet. Some of you have and think it's enough, but you're here, continue to do what you do. Don't die on the vine, no matter what your age is. Don't die on the vine. Do what you believe is necessary to cultivate an entity called SELF. Look in the mirror and you might see it. You just might. So that's about as far as I can go into the drama, and this drama, what you were just talking about. Believe in yourself, because silence is not an option. You must speak up. How many times, I'm going to quit now, how many times have you been in a conversation and didn't say anything, and soon as the conversation was over, you started saying something? I should have said something. You was wrong. What? No, you hush because you had your chance. You didn't say anything. Silence is not an option. Speak up. Young'un, speak up. Okay?
Yeah,
I'm through now.
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Question over here.
Hello. I didn't know when I started this day that I would be in the same room as
You can
a
understand?
legend.
Can you
Do you
understand?
mind, I can take my mask off.
Yeah, we can understand. Thank you.
Yeah, so I actually teach history, and I have taught sport history before, and of course, shared your story. And this is to community college students, so often first-generation students, students who have had traditionally disadvantaged backgrounds. And what advice would you give to them that I could pass on to them from the Olympic legend himself, who feel that they don't have a voice? And you might have just answered it, but what would you suggest to them who don't feel that they have that space? They don't have that Olympic podium to make that silent gesture.
You know, actually, they do have a podium. It's not as big as mine. You get up in the morning, that's your podium. You go in the bathroom, and you're going to really have a podium if you didn't have a good night last night, you know. Wherever you are, you make something happen. What did John Lewis says, there's some, make bad trouble, good trouble, come on.
Trouble.
Good trouble.
Yeah, there's going to
Good
always
trouble,
be trouble,
necessary
yeah.
trouble.
Always be trouble. Don't feel sorry for yourself just because somebody didn't blow a horn in your behalf. Self, S-E-L-F. Get up and be rejoiced that you got a voice.
Also to that point, I mean, I thought that this would be, his life story is a perfect subject for a children's book. The first chapter I entitled A Country Boy, because when I first sat and met with him, I was very excited, first of all, just pulling up in y'all's driveway. And when I went down to his man cave, it's like a museum. There was fan art, and there were trophies, and every prominent American figure you can think of was a picture of him and his beautiful wife with this person. So I was kind of nervous, but when I sat down, I was thinking, like, this brother's probably tired of telling this story. But he was he had the same amount of energy like he probably told it the first time. And the more he talked, the more comfortable I felt in his presence, like he could be my father or it'd be my uncle. And when I found out more about him and him being from Texas, being a part of this large family, and I said, he's a country boy from Texas, man. But that is so important because you don't have to be from some famous civil rights family. You don't have to be from wealth. All you have to do is recognize that there's a problem in my space. Somebody's not being treated properly. I need to say something. I need to do something. It could be on your block. It could be in your classroom. It could be in your city. Educate yourself. That is the most primary thing we can do, especially when we're talking about the youth and all these book bans. Educate yourself about the history of your people, about America, about your neighborhood. And just speak up and say something, you know, and the fact that I feel like we were all given and blessed with a multitude of gifts. And he was, you know, amongst the many gifts that he has, he was given the gift of speed. And I talk to my sons all the time about what our blessings and gifts are. It's not about that primary thing. I was given the gift to write and to manipulate the English language, but that's not what I am. I need to utilize that. God said use that to touch people. He was given the gift of speed. Again, he won that race. The fact that he was on that #1 stand and he overcame that injury. You know, he used his speed to connect with people. So whatever your gifts are, and I'm not just talking to the kids, whatever your gifts are, use them to connect people, to help people, to try to change where you live, to try to change this country, to make it a better place. No matter what it is, you might be a good listener. You might make a good potato salad. It ain't about the potato salad, it's about the people that gather around your potato salad. It's gonna have a conversation. So use whatever God has blessed you with in order to make this world a better place. And I thank God for you winning that race, bro.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Hey, round
The
the
perfect
potato
picture
salad.
book, man.
Question?
Dr. Smith, thank you for writing this book and taking opportunities to share your story. But other people have also tried to share your story. Academic books have been written, documentaries, and other authors have written about your experience, your life, and tried to make sense of what it means. Is there anything that they've gotten wrong or something that you want to correct that's become part of our popular memory of your history?
You know, what they have said came from them, their hearts, and even if it's a lie, and I'm not there, I read about it, it's them that said it. And I know that the lie can ruin anybody's a bowl of gravy, but a lot of people still eat it. So what I'm saying, I can't protect them from idiocy. Maybe they didn't know, maybe they're trying to hurt me, but if you're trying to hurt somebody, you better be careful. God don't like ugly. You know, so it doesn't really bother me unless I let it bother me. The wife is always telling me, Tommy, do what you think is best for what you're doing. That's what I do. I'm not a magician. Even magicians lie. You know, so you got to watch what you're doing. Just be your inside showing out. Okay. That's a little synopsis of a literary portion I heard before. Be yourself from the inside and showing out to the outside, and being proud enough to back it up and smile and strut on down the road. You'll make it. You'll make it somehow. Like I said, faith.
We have time for one more question.
There's a little one right there. Yeah.
One of our young attendees.
Yeah.
Not sure I'm going to say this right, but what made you want to write? I personally love to write things. I recently rewrote a story that I had for a class, and I wanted to do my own characters. I wanted to do my own setting and stuff. I might not have done the correct or spelled words correctly or did the right punctuation, but I love to write, and I think it inspires me that
Doing fine.
Yeah, that's right.
that someone's words can inspire you to write something.
Listen, I've been published since 2001. 4. So I was like, one of these days, a kid that I met at a school visit or presentation is going to come up to me, and they've won more awards than me. They've on the New York Times bestsellers list. And this might be you one day, man. So I'm not telling you, read everything you get your hands on, and really try to focus on your own individual voice. Like the world needs your voice. There's plenty of other authors out here that are saying what they need to say and telling the stories they need to tell, but the world needs your story. So just continue to work on that. I started writing in the 5th grade. I was 10 years old, and I really didn't read a lot growing up. I'm a huge music fan, so I used to read the liner notes on albums. Like all the song lyrics were on it, so I used to copy down Stevie Wonder lyrics, Earth, Wind and Fire, Roberta Flack, first woman I ever fell in love with. And then I fell in love with hip hop music. And my teacher, Miss Shelby, in the 5th grade recognized that me and my friends were into hip hop, so she introduced us to the writers in the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s. So Langston Hughes is one of my homeboys. He's from Missouri. I fell in love with his work, and through his work I learned about character development, dialogue. So really like study the greats, like study the writers that you really look up to, and really check out the literary devices that they use and how they use their own voices, and just in the whole journey of figuring out what you want to say. Like, again, the world needs your voice, man, and I'm looking forward to come to one of your book signings one day. I'll be there.
Yeah, let me know when your book is done.
Support independent, and we have to support Black-owned book sellers, because our big box stores aren't doing these kinds of community events, and I'm a big fan. One of the best gifts my husband gave me was a big gift certificate, Christmas, big gift certificate that I blew through in like a month. But
thank you.
Yeah, no, and we absolutely love you. Which we travel very far to come to you, and where we live doesn't have a Black bookstore. And so thank you for all that you do, you and your husband and your daughter, all that you do. It's not, you don't just sell books. It's beyond that. Like the books, again, that's just the avenue that you do to create community, to get stories out. The events you put on are phenomenal. And if you guys aren't following them, if you haven't shopped there, do yourself a favor. You'll thank me later. But
I'm thanking you now. I need to bring you up to the. No,
I have to say one thing, because they won't say this. All right, we just moved to Winter Park, Florida. They flew up from Florida today to be here for this, and they're flying back tomorrow so she can get to school.
Wow.
Okay? So just want to let you know how serious, when she says how serious she means by that, she loves mahogany books.
Thank you for that. That means a lot, and not just for me, but other independent booksellers that are around the country that I'm in contact with, who are going through these ups and downs, and the support that we get from people like you to fly here from Florida. I know you came to see Dr. Smith, but it's just humbling that to see people be excited about books, to be honest, to be excited about books, and to have a young person here who's excited about writing. I can't wait to have your book in our bookstore. But yeah, thank you for that. All right, so thank you all. We will stand and take a photo if you want to take a photo of us. I'll do one with, and then I'll let the trifecta do one as well. But thank you all for coming. Thank you to the Library of Congress for hosting this event. Yes. Let's give it up. Thank you. Follow them on all Instagram, on all social media at the Library of Congress. But thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Fantastic.